so these are, I have actually 8 of the warm-ups because I have 4 from our class and 4 from the Monday class. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had a lot of fun playing with different techniques with the gel mediums. And let me show you, this is the group that is from your class. And some of them are kind of fun, and some of them, this one has not been that fun because I've got quite a few layers on here. And if you can see this yellow that's behind here, the last layer I did the heavy gel matte medium, and I mixed just 1 drop of Indian yellow in, and it was like, went crazy. So I took some, another layer and added a little bit of the interference and white because I wanted that to go away. And the moral of the story here is I can just keep on going over this until I get what I want. I can lay more papers down now and go over it again, so I'm creating some depth. So this one is definitely a work in progress. This one I kind of am liking because it really has that encaustic feel to it. The design, I'm not too worried about the designs because these are just experimental boards for me to see what I like. And another thing is it was really helpful for me to tape these down onto a board. Whereas before when I started doing them with you guys, I was just, you know, painting on loose paper and it was really hard to control. So it's much nicer to lay them out on a board. These two I really like. And if you can see the shine that's going on, wait a minute, it shows up more in this one. That's just from the interference mixed in with the medium. And I did a couple layers on the top and bottom and left this portion. I only did 1 layer of clear. And I kind of like...
What is interference?
Oh, I'm sorry. Interference, it's a gold... It gives the kind of the sheen of an abalone shell is what it says. Okay. So you can add this... Yeah, it's kind of pearlized. You can add it. You can see here on the lid how shiny it is. I think you can see that. So it's really not, and it's very, very transparent. You can see how transparent it is. But one thing I really did like, and let me get these guys out of the way. There are a couple things that I wanted to show you. For instance, on this one. Now, these were my boards from Monday. And they all started out like this. So they started out really, you know, I had a lot of contrast going on. And I did this board, and I think we may have talked about it. This is the one I used the Ultra Matte Gel. And the whole board, when I was done, looked like this. Like all of this stuff, I've added on over it. Otherwise, it completely covered everything, and that was way more than I wanted. But after putting it on there, of course, I read and I see this is semi-opaque gel. And between that and adding too much of this, I just completely covered up the design that was originally that dark. But here's the thing. It's layers. There's no, you can't really ruin it. I just went back and added in more papers. I added in some lines, some line work, and went over it with another clear coat. But one thing I wanted to show you, once the wax is set up, you can go in with little tools and you can, you know, carve into it and create shapes or create lines with a little tool. You can't really do that with the matte mediums or the mediums because once they're dry, you know, it is what it is. But when they're still wet, you can take, like I used a little silicone scraper. What do you call these? It's actually called an artist brush, but they're silicone. So while this was wet, I went in and I just pulled some lines in. I pulled a couple squares in, and I don't know if you can see that. Now, since I've done that, I went over it with, I actually used these fun little cheap little super gel crayons. Has anybody used these?
No.
Oh, they're really fun. And I'm sure they're for kids. Because this whole set was only like $14. I think everybody at the studio, when we discovered them, everybody had to buy some. So what I did with them, they're water soluble. And let's see if this one, you just screw them out and they're really soft. And then I just went in and drew some lines in here. Now I can go over, and I'm going across my lines so that that will stay inside there. You know, that little bit of color stays in there. So it's kind of another fun thing you can do. And so you can go in and make little shapes to play with. But what I really, really like, this was my favorite one so far. And what I did once I had everything on, cold wax is it's for oil painting. It's not really for for acrylics. You can't mix it in with acrylics, but you can put a layer over acrylics because oil can go over acrylics. Acrylics cannot go over oil. So if you do this next step, you don't want to go back over it with acrylics. You can't. So I have another one that I believe, there it is. And it's not quite dry. I was hoping it was going to be dry by the time class started. It does take longer to dry because it's an oil product. But the nice thing about it is, this one is dry, that once it's dry, you can buff it out. And so now your encaustic hack, your faux encaustic, it has that nice shine because it has a wax finish on it. And you can see how pretty it's a different shine than you would get if there was, if you were using a satin or a gloss finish medium. It's a really pretty luster. So can you guys pick that up on there? Now this one, I'm not sure. Yeah, this one's not dry enough to buff it out yet. So I've got it on here, and then let me grab another one and I'll show you how I put it on there. It's really nice to work with. And there's my little, and I'm just using, it's a really soft wax. And I like using it even better than the mediums because it goes on really nice. And I don't want to put a really thick layer on here. I just want enough that I'm going to get a nice little, I'll be able to buff it.
And this is the cold wax?
This is cold wax. And this one's by Gamblin. Let's see, stay right there. It's by Gamblin, cold wax medium, if you can see that. And you can get this at any art store. I did a couple collage pieces when I first started playing with it that I actually used it for my glue. I used it to glue everything down with too, and it worked fine. I wouldn't recommend it because I really don't know if that's a legitimate way to do it. So I've got all my wax on there. And then I just kind of, I like these little plastic knives because I can lay it flat and just smooth this out. So when this ends up drying, which might not be for a couple of days, I can buff this out, and I really like the finish of it. Now, I'm not too married with these little guys, and I'm really encourage you to use your warm-up pieces that we did for precisely for this, so you can play with it and see the different effects that you can get. Because a lot of this, I mean, I would just do one of them and it didn't work out, and I gave me the freedom to go ahead and play with another one. Let me see, I think I want to pull those little lines out to add more layers, because, you know, at that point when you don't like it, you're not that attached. And that's kind of a good place to be, not attached to it. No. If you've ever chalk painted furniture, you put a wax finish on it, and they have a really beautiful wax that's exactly like this. So I'm thinking, and probably not a good idea to mix colors in there, but whoops. Sounds like somebody got knocked out of the class. I think you probably could. You could use the wax for that, and I was looking for, I had some and I couldn't find it today to show for class. But now that's, you know, pretty dull, but tomorrow or the next day, it's going to be kind of nice to go and buff this because I love that finish. Now, this board I particularly like because these dark lines, can you see where some of them are an olive green? Okay, I don't know if you can tell that. Those were actually black lines, and when I went over with one coat of gel medium with the interference, it turned my black lines into a really pretty olive green. And then I went back and hit them, you know, here and there. It really was a nice effect. So I really encourage you guys to play with this stuff. Just keep adding mediums and see, you know, I went back in and I kept adding layers of paper, did another coat of medium, came back and add more layers of paper, so you get all of those things hidden back in there. I do know Kristen Ide, who teaches the Faux Encaustic workshop at Art on 30th, she uses, and I don't have any, the golden matte medium. It comes in more of a jar. You can pour it out and smooth it, and it self-levels. So if you want that look of having it really smooth, because Harriet, you can have it textury. There's nothing wrong with having it textury unless you just don't like that. But because most of mine have texture in them or have movement. But if you want that really smooth look, you can use the golden medium. But I'm also thinking I could take the fluid matte medium from Liquitex and one of my gel mediums and mix them together and get that same effect, but I'm not really sure. I don't know if it will self-level, which means it'll just smooth out itself and it'll all be one level. And then just as a little tip, if you, I don't want to do it to this one. Let's do it to this one. So I've taped these guys off, but I'm not going to be able to pull the tape on this like I would if it was just paint. It's not going to leave a clean edge because it's got too much medium. Oh, or maybe it will. Maybe I don't have this much medium on this one. A couple of them I have pretty heavy application of medium. So before I go to take my tape off, I'm actually just going to take an X-Acto knife and just make a little line there to cut through that, the medium that may have overlapped on the tape so that you don't pull it up and pull up, you know, part of your painting with it. Okay? Let me see, one of these would probably work better. Like this is a pretty thick medium here. Let's see if I even have to worry about it. And when you pull your tape off, if you pull your tape off back against itself like this, oh, I guess I don't have to cut it. It'll do a cleaner cut when you pull your tape up. Come on. When I tape things down, I'm serious. If you pull your tape up like this, that's when you're going to get tears. If you pull your tape back against itself, you'll get a cleaner tear. And these little guys, I think I just did on watercolor paper. So they're kind of fun. I mean, even if I don't do anything with this, I might cut it up and use it in something else. So, so I hope you're having fun with them. I hope you are doing more, playing with them and exploring the encaustic thing.